Oh, yeah. Is it Thursday already? The Mandalorian and Grogu interviews are here. The Empire magazine, if magazines even still exist, has been released. And we got interviews from the cast and crew: Pedro Pascal, Sigourney Weaver, Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, all of them. And the cherry on top is Katee Sackhoff has said something that has got the fandom thinking that Bo Katan is definitely going to be in this movie. So we'll talk about that as well. We got a lot to get into and not a lot of time. So without further ado, let's dive into all of it. What's up, everybody? How's it been doing on this fine Thursday afternoon? So not only do we have this great article where we're getting so many interviews from the cast and crew, new images for this movie, but Jon Favreau, the director of this film, he teased at a new villain for this movie that, honestly, I'm lost. I'm completely confused. We'll get to what Jon Favreau said and what he teased out about this Imperial warlord who's going to be extremely important. Somehow, some way, Grogu ends up in a bird cage. We'll talk about that as well. And, of course, the Katee Sackhoff of it all, because she might have just confirmed that she will be in this movie. At least to me, she just confirmed that. I do have to say that I might be getting out of here a little bit early today. I know we've been going like 2 hours lately, which has been longer than normal, but we might be in that 1.5 to 1:45 range because it is my mom's birthday today. Can we get some happy birthdays to my mom in the chat? So we are, celebrating that. So happy birthday to my mom, of course, in the chat. Let's hear that. And while you do so, let's say hi to everybody in the chat. Let's start the stream the correct way here by saying hi to everybody in the chat. Holly, how we doing? Cleve Morris in the building. John Groom, what is up? Fearless, how we doing? Ron in the building. Aaron, how we doing? Darth Plagueis lives in the house. Dave that loves Star Wars, great name. Starship 66, what is up? Cole, how we doing? Max Rebo in the building. Steven, what is up? Lobo, how we doing? Vegas Jedi in the building. Steve, how we doing? All right, if I missed you, you know the deal. Just yell at me in the chat. 730 Evie, what's up? Jedi Order, how we doing? 50 Thunder, what is up? All right, if I missed you, you know the deal. Just yell at me in the chat. Let's give everybody a nice little
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
Okay, so I feel like we got to start with this whole... do we start with the Bo Katan stuff? Let's start with the Empire magazine. We'll get to the Bo Katan stuff in a little bit, okay? Let's start with the Empire magazine of it all first, and then we'll go to the Bo Katan stuff after. So we got some interviews today from the cast and crew, and Jon Favreau talking about this new villain in The Mandalorian and Grogu that isn't in any of the trailers, but we have seen him before. He was in The Mandalorian Season 3 and is returning for a second appearance in this movie. And again, all this indicates that we know so little about the plot of this movie. If Bo Katan's going to be in there, if this big Imperial warlord's going to be in there, and they're not at all in the marketing, they're keeping secrets, and a lot of them when it comes to this Mandalorian and Grogu movie, and honestly, that excites me. So, first things first, tell me in the chat, on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for this movie? And let's start with these interviews, okay? So this is a bit in pieces of it, because you have to buy the article, and I'm not getting a magazine shipped to my house. This isn't 1920. Were magazines even around then? I don't know. But it's 2026, and that's just not happening. So, The Mandalorian and Grogu, let's take a look at this. The Mandalorian and Grogu, new spoilery images and quotes from the cast and crew, including Sigourney Weaver. Sigourney Weaver. Thank you guys for the happy birthdays in the chat. I'll show her that later. She'll appreciate that. Okay. But Sigourney Weaver. So let's talk about this interview. Hang on, we got a super chat. Hang on. Darth Plagueis lives with a very generous $5 holla. I appreciate that quite a bit. Says, happy birthday, Mama Star Wars. That's incredible. I'm convinced that Bo Katan is in this movie, but why are they hiding it? You're asking the hard-hitting questions, but I can't tell you until we get to it. So hold that thought, Darth Plagueis. hold that thought, and we'll get to it in a little bit. But I appreciate the super chat. I really, really do. All right. Now that I've been so rudely interrupted, more details about The Mandalorian and Grogu are coming out from Empire Magazine's coverage, with some hints about what Grogu gets up to in this film, and rare quotes from Sigourney Weaver about her character and why she's hiring Din Djarin. So pretty much why the whole plot of this movie is going to happen, plus with some interesting tidbits about Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni and even Stinky, a.k.a. Rada, the Hutt. These quotes have yet to be published online and have only surfaced thanks to Reddit users who have gotten the magazine themselves. So, like, this is from the magazine itself, but because Empire Magazine wants to make a quick buck off of you, and I guess you just have to practice patience, and eventually you'll get it for free. Just like we're doing right now. This is completely free. Who also provides some new images from the magazine, including one that seems incredibly spoilerific and is placed below, two of which are below. If you don't want to be spoiled, then look away. So, yes, it's a spoiler, but it's promotion for the movie, and this article/images will be out, I would guess, in a couple hours. So these leaked images will become official images in very, very little time. However, we got a lot of images, so take a look. One of those images shows Grogu in a bird cage next to one of the Imperial warlords played by Johnny Cohen, sure, that was seen in The Mandalorian Season 3, who is sat having a conversation with a Itochi, I don't even know, but with a broken horn. You'll recognize him in a second. It would appear that the Imperial remnant manages to capture Grogu at some point in this film, separating him from Din Djarin. So this is the image we're talking about here. Take a look at this. Actually, you know what? We're just gonna zoom in on it ourselves here. Wait, don't look at that. Don't look at it. Look away. All right, let's take a look at this. So, perfect in Schlag. Okay. So here we got Grogu in a bird cage. Actually, the bird is on top of the cage, but we got Grogu in the bird cage. And before you're like, Mike, he has the Force, why doesn't he just get out of this? I'm assuming there's an explanation for it. I don't have it, but all will be revealed. Next to the bird cage with Grogu in it, we have our new villain. One who hasn't been seen in any of the trailers, who hasn't been talked about at all, but a familiar face from The Mandalorian Season 2. This was one of the other Shadow Council members seen as Moff Gideon went into that Shadow Council meeting in The Mandalorian Season 3. And then sitting next to him is that mysterious, or not mysterious, but species that I cannot pronounce, and is very familiar looking because there was a Jedi Master, Master Tim, who was this same species. Now, what this guy's up to, what he's doing, I don't know. Looks like he's kind of just a security guard type deal, maybe for our Imperial warlord friend here. But one of the coolest things about this is his jacket. Does anybody recognize the jacket? Well, let's start there. Do you recognize this jacket, Chet? And yes, the bird cage. So this is the gladiator ring. This is the scene where Din Djarin fights the chess pieces, where Din Djarin fights Stinky the Hutt in the gladiator ring. This is that place. This is that location. So Grogu, the reason why Grogu's not in the ring fighting alongside Din Djarin is because he is preoccupied inside of a bird cage. Now, I know we think that Grogu is this almighty being. He can't be destroyed or beaten because he will live till 900 and he has the Force. But that's not the case. Grogu is still just a child, and even with the Force, he can be restrained. A blaster is still going to kill the child. So him being put in a bird cage is not as simple as, well, Grogu can just escape because he's got the Force. That's not the case. So the Empire is holding Grogu captive while Din Djarin fights Stinky the Hutt in a gladiator ring. If you just wrote down that sentence, Grogu in a bird cage, captured by the Empire, while Din Djarin fights a Hutt in a gladiator ring, That alone would get me so ridiculously excited for the Mandalorian and Grogu just because of what's at stake. The Empire has recaptured Grogu for the time being, and now Din Djarin is going to have to fight in a gladiator ring to get him back. How does that involve the Twin Hutts? How does that involve Grand Admiral Thrawn? All the questions that come out of just that one simple sentence that is shown to us by this image is just insane. But Grogu captured by the Empire yet again, and Din Djarin having to fight his way to get him back. Awesome. So yes, some people are saying it in the chat. The jacket that this character is wearing does look like it's a Gorman jacket. Now, when we talk about the interconnectivity, that's a word, in the Star Wars universe, and how all these different projects from different eras in the galaxy are intertwined, this is something that's really cool. Andor Season 2 came out last year. We were introduced to the planet of Gorman and the insane massacre of the people there. And Cassian got to see it firsthand, and we got to see Cyril Khan, die, and it was crazy, and it was awesome, but it was crazy and awesome. And there we got introduced to the fact that Gormans make clothes. They make fabric from the spiders that, poop out fabric, for lack of a better word. The Gorman spiders that poop out fabric. So this guy's wearing the pooped out fabric jacket, and it looks Gorman to me. It looks like it's pulled straight out of that Andor Season 2 arc, or I guess first half of the season, before the Gormans did indeed get massacred. Now, here's the deal. Gorman doesn't just disappear after that. The Empire just takes full control of Gorman. So it would make sense that an Imperial warlord that's supposed to be, one of very few leaders of the remnants of the Empire at this point in the galaxy would be all, rich and be wearing Gorman stuff. So this makes perfect sense and is a really cool nod to Andor Season 2 with the Gorman jacket. But all the talk is, why the hell is Grogu in a birdcage? And it seems to me that it's because they're using him as leverage to get Din Djarin to fight in the gladiator ring. Now, my question to you guys is, why does the Empire want Din Djarin in a gladiator ring fighting Stinky the Hutt? What is the motive? Why is this the case? Because if we go back to the trailer, and we're about to right now, for The Mandalorian and Grogu, you see Din and Grogu sitting in the audience, sitting in the stands, watching Stinky the Hutt. So something crazy has to happen in this sequence or in this scene that leads to Grogu being in a birdcage. Tell me what you think in the chat.
This is where the fun begins.
Because it's crazy to think that this character right here, who has not been in any of the marketing for the show, could be as big a villain as anybody in this Mandalorian and Grogu, more so than the Hutts, more so than the other Shadow Council member that we saw, and they're just keeping it a secret. Because what Jon Favreau had to say about this character right here is absolutely insane. But we'll get to it in just 1 minute. Hang on. Let me pull up the trailer really quick. Let me pull up the trailer. Okay, so I believe it was in the first trailer that we got so many months ago. Yeah, it was. Okay. So, we all know the trailer. We've all seen the incredible trailer. Here it is. Let's turn up that volume.
Impressive.
So, we somehow go from this, Din and Grogu sitting in the stands, looking over Stinky the Hutt and his greatness, and Grogu eating what looks to be Mantel mix or some variation of that in Star Wars. Pretty cool, right? That sounds great. How do we go from that to this? It seems like this will be a big part of the entire movie, and when we only have a 2.5 hour movie, we're not talking about 8 episodes anymore. This is not what we've been used to over the last 6 years, which is pretty much 6 hours to tell an entire story. 8 episodes, and you can have some filler in there. This is not the case. This is a 2.5, give or take, hour movie that only has 2.5 hours to tell us a full story from start to finish. 1 act, 2 act, first act, second act, third act. And that's it. So how do we get from them watching peacefully in the stands to this? Let me know in the chat, because as you do so, take a look at what Jon Favreau had to say about this Imperial Warlord. It's absolutely insane, and it's got my mind boggled, so I need your help. All right. Imperial Warlord returns for the Mandalorian and Grogu in new image for the show. We talked about this already. The upcoming blockbuster will connect to previous scenes of the show, like season 3 of the show, from director Jon Favreau, who teased at the Imperial remnant leader his involvement. So blah, 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 blah. This is the image, of course, but here's where things get really interesting. The film's director had something to say about Johnny Cohen's character. Favreau teased in the Empire issue that, quote, "You'll like his character name when you hear it." You will like his character's name when you hear it. What does that mean? Are we going to recognize the name? Is it a character that we already know from before? From like the time of the original trilogy or even before that? Or is it somebody who eventually becomes a First Order leader from the sequel trilogy? Is it going to be somebody's name we recognize, or is it going to be something more of a joke, I suppose? Because as somebody pointed out, as spotted by some fans on social media, the English actor has a name for his character listed on IMDb, as his name is Imperial Warlord Janu Coin, which is, of course, just a spiff off of his own name, Johnny Coin, or Cohen, however you pronounce it. Now, we all know that IMDb can be edited by the public. We've seen this time and time again with certain actors being thrown into a movie that they're not actually in. It happens over and over again. Specifically, I remember it a lot with Marvel, where you'd have a movie coming out for Marvel, and people would be like, "Oh my God, Robert Downey Jr. is in this movie because he's on IMDb listed with the cast and crew, and he wasn't even in the movie." So it has happened before. IMDb can be edited, but it doesn't really make much sense to me, because when you look at the IMDb, and I did my work before, I had it pulled up already, chat. You look at the IMDb cast here. You got Martin Scorsese, of course, as the Ardenian. Pedro Pascal as Din Djarin, but it says the Mandalorian. Jeremy Allen White as Rada the Hutt. Sigourney Weaver as Colonel Ward. Stephen Blum, same voice as Zeb Orrelios. Then they got this guy, the Imperial Warlord from the trailer, no name, but Johnny Cohen, or Johnny Coin, as Imperial Warlord Janu Coin. It just doesn't sound real. Then we got this guy as Village Merchant, and this guy as Rebel, uncredited. So, it just, to me, when you look at all the other, I mean, they literally called Pedro Pascal's character the Mandalorian, not even Din Djarin, which is weird. And they just gave this guy an extra name that sounds like his name. So I am fully of the mind that this is completely fake. Like, this is just not the case at all. Uncle Harlow? Oh my God. That would be hilarious. If this character is Uncle Harlow is Cyril's uncle that helps him get a job in Andor. And fans made a lot of jokes over the course of season 2 of Andor that we would get the reveal of who Uncle Harlow is, and it would be this big reveal. I don't think so. Dedra? Okay, yeah, his name is Dedra Miro. You remember Dedra from season 2 of Andor? Yeah, this is her now. This is her today. I don't think so. I don't think so. Okay, John Groom brings up a great theory that actually Nick, shout out to Nick from Star Wars Jedi Chat, brought up last night. Could this character be Eli Vanto? Now, for those of you going, who the hell is Eli Vanto? Let me explain. Eli Vanto is a canon character, 100% a canon character from the Thrawn first trilogy of books. Eli is originally just a translator to translate for Thrawn when he first gets captured by the Empire, but eventually Thrawn, I guess, teaches him as an apprentice almost, and he becomes Thrawn's right-hand man. Eventually, Thrawn sends Eli Vanto to his people, to the Chiss ascendancy, because he believes that Eli can help them and help them greatly. Now, the thing with Eli Vanto is his character has never been seen. He's only been depicted in books. And in those books that take place well over 10 to 15 years before the events of The Mandalorian and Grogu, he's probably in his late 20s, if I were to guess. So that would put him in his mid to late 40s here. I mean, I don't know, how old is Johnny Cohen or Coyne? How old is this guy? Do we know? I don't really see this being Eli Vanto because he would still be with the Chiss. You know? Why would he be back here as an Imperial warlord? However, it is a recognizable name. In the way that Jon Favreau puts this, if I can pull up that article again, you'll like his name when you hear it. Jon is pretty much telling us right now that as a Star Wars fan, when you hear his name, you'll like it. He has not said that about anybody else. Not about Sigourney Weaver, not about Martin Scorsese's character. Only specifically this Imperial warlord that they've been keeping a secret from us that has Grogu in a freaking bird cage. So what the hell is he talking about? Why, when we learn this character's name, are we going to like it? Yeah, it's not Eli Vanto. I mean, Eli Vanto's a stretch, but it would be a nice stretch. We're getting Thrawn back. We're getting the heir to the Empire back. We're doing all that fun stuff. Eli should be a part of that, especially if we're going to the Chiss and we're explaining the whole Chiss ascendancy and the Grisk and all that war going on in the unknown regions. His name is Glub Shitto. I seriously doubt that. I would love it, but I doubt it. But he could be a Glub Shitto. And if you don't know what a Glub Shitto is, it's pretty much just like whenever Star Wars fans see a specific character and they go, oh my God, that's this dude that like blah, 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 blah. Their name sounds like Glub Shitto. For example, I guess it would be like R5 in The Mandalorian. R5 being the droid that Luke says that has a bad motivator in A New Hope. And only, I guess, hardcore Star Wars fans would even recognize that. Snoke. Okay. So the problem I have with this character being named Snoke, well, there's a lot of problems I have. One being Snoke is like 8 feet tall. Snoke is a giant. Snoke is an abomination created by Palpatine to hopefully by Luke's blood and Grogu's blood and maybe a combination of Omega's blood so that all this makes sense. But Snoke's creation is going to be something that is so insanely important. And I really, really, really I can't imagine that he is an actual person. Because that would indicate that this guy right here that you see on your screen would have to enlarge himself. He would have to be like Ant-Man and make himself really big somehow. Like, Snoke is a giant and he's an abomination. And I don't see him being a real person. And this guy doesn't really look very sinister. I guess. He is an Imperial warlord, so he is a bad guy. He's a villain. He's going to be one of the main villains of this Mandalorian and Grogu movie, but his purpose, his role, is still completely a mystery to us. All we have is this image and Jon Favreau saying that when you find out his character's name, you're gonna like it. Which makes no freaking sense. he looks shady. Well, I mean, he does have Grogu in a cage, and he is a part of the Imperial Shadow Council. So, does he have, like, what is his purpose in the Shadow Council? Do we know? His name is Elmer Fudd. Yes, that would be nice. Tarkin's son. Did Tarkin have a son? I don't think so. I don't think so. Does it give Snoke's height anywhere? Well, you watch The Last Jedi, he's a monster. He's a giant. You see him right next to Rey face to face, and he's this massive being. Yeah. I guess the cool part about this is the fact that we're getting at least 2 Shadow Council members in this movie. And if there's 2 of them, there's probably more. We might even get a Shadow Council meeting yet again and more mentions of Thrawn, because this guy right here 100% knows that Thrawn is back. Whether he mentions it or not remains to be seen, but he knows that Thrawn is back. He knows the heir to the Empire is here. But how does he feel about it? Because his power is going to be taken away from him if Thrawn gets what he wants. And he definitely doesn't want that. So you might see some infighting amongst the Imperial warlords here as they try to fight for power. As Moff Gideon is dead now and his land is up for grabs, you're going to see some infighting amongst the Imperial warlords, especially with Thrawn back now. Yeah. Mike, hear me out. What if this is somebody related to Jod Nanawood? I don't see how that would be relevant. Jod just kind of does his own thing, and, you know. Yeah. So here's how I see this going down. I think this guy is running the Gladiator Ring. I think he is the one in charge of this Gladiator facility, of this planet, whatever planet we are on right now. He's the Imperial warlord who's in control of this sector of the Outer Rim. And somehow, some way, he spots Din Djarin in the audience. Or, I mean, let's be honest, Din Djarin's not hiding. He's literally a shiny Beskar Mandalorian walking around with thousands and thousands and thousands of credits on him at all times. So I think he's in charge of this spot in the galaxy, in charge of this Gladiator Ring specifically, and he's going to make Din Djarin fight in here. Why? I don't know. I haven't a clue. But he's going to capture Grogu. He's going to know the significance of these 2 characters. Because let's not forget, for 3 seasons, the whole plot of the goddamn show was that the Empire wanted Grogu for his blood to create Force-sensitive clones. Now, Moff Gideon was kind of doing his own thing, but he successfully created a whole clone army of himself, Force-sensitive clone army, using Grogu's blood. Let's not forget that happened. That happened. Grogu's blood was used to create Force-sensitive clones and a whole freaking army of them. So the Empire is very aware of Grogu, his importance, and the abilities that come along with him. So this guy is going to have that information. He's going to know the significance of Din Djarin and Mando and how important they are to the remnant of the Empire. I don't think he'll be too concerned himself about the whole cloning thing, but he might want to take Grogu and bring him to his other Imperial warlords so that they can do what they want with him, I suppose. Maybe bring him to General Hux's dad because he's working on Project Necromancer. We have gotten a ton of footage from the trailers that show Din and Grogu separated. Is it possible that the Empire completely captures Grogu again? It is strange the way that all these scenes work, that it's hard to put the pieces together. This puzzle is enormous, and it's like we've again, I've said it before, but I'll say it again. It's like a 1,000-piece puzzle, and we put together a few pieces. So it's hard to tell if this scene could end with Din Djarin and Grogu being separated, with Grogu being taken away by the Imperial remnant yet again, and Din Djarin having to go rescue him, maybe with the help of Stinky the Hutt, because as Jeremy Allen White tells us, Stinky will be very important in terms of this movie. I think Project Necromancer will be at least hinted at. Oh, 100%. There is a big old problem that a lot of Star Wars fans have with the sequel trilogy, and that is one line and one line only. Somehow, Palpatine returned. And if they can do anything in this Mandalorian and Grogu movie to help that line in any tiny little detail, they will. They've already done it with the first 3 seasons of the show, giving us a back-to-tank with something that looks like Snoke on Navarro, having the whole plot of the series be the Empire wanting Grogu's blood for Project Necromancer. They're already on the track to helping that line in the sequels themselves look better because the return of Palpatine is more fleshed out. So it will be maybe even mentioned in this movie 100%. I felt like the Hutts were running this gambling ring. I don't know, because the twin Hutts are on a completely different planet. And Stinky the Hutt seems to just be doing his own thing. Like he's the rebellious teen who's gone on to do his own thing. Where is Pelion? I'm assuming that Pelion is with Thrawn. And the two of them are probably on Dathomir, assembling their army. But I don't know. Yeah. So, all that to say, because we got a lot more to get to here, this is just the first tip of the iceberg here, but this brand new villain for the Mandalorian and Grogu has been revealed to us and is not in any other thing up until this point. It has Grogu in a birdcage, and Jon Favreau saying that when you hear his name, you will like it, which is weird. So, continuing. It would appear that this warlord is working with the galaxy's criminal underworld. We don't officially know the name of this Imperial, but Jon Favreau did tease in the interview that you will like it. You will like the character's name when you hear it. Perhaps it belongs to a certain legacy character who longtime Star Wars fans will be familiar with, which, again, I don't know who that would be. But Ludwig Göransson, or Göransson, sure, Ludwig, the film's composer, who also worked on the Mandalorian show itself. So the great, the theme of the Mandalorian. Ludwig did that theme for the first 3 seasons, and now he's coming back to do the movie. He had this to say: Grogu will probably be separated from Din at some point in the movie, as he had this to say. In season 1, he's obviously not as much of a presence as he is in this film. Grogu, that is. Now, he's got a lot more screen time, a lot more presence. He's not a little kid anymore. He's more grown up. He's more independent. And there is a place to take him, which is one of my favorite parts of this film, where you really get to spend some time with him and get to know him. And this draws me right back to the trailer, because Grogu and Din Djarin will be separated quite a bit in this movie. And most importantly, the unexplainable is this scene in the trailer. Oh. Grogu in some foresty planet meditating by himself.
I won't always be around to protect him.
And
Are you scared?
he's hanging out with some weird lizard dude. Some weird old lizard dude in a rocking chair. So what was first just a mysterious what the hell's happening here? Why is Grogu training by himself? Is Din Djarin captured? Is Din Djarin dead? What is happening in this scene, or in this sequence in the trailer, has now turned into a lot more because of the composer for the movie. That's crazy. But he does indicate that Grogu will be spending a lot of time by himself, and you will really get to know him because you're going to spend a lot more time with this character in this movie than you ever did in the show. Which is a bold move. For a character who doesn't speak, For a character who is a puppet, so to speak, spending a lot of time with him, it will be interesting. It will be interesting. Yeah. All right, continuing. Sigourney Weaver revealed that her character, Colonel Ward, which again, if you ever want any evidence to suggest why you shouldn't believe all the leaks and rumors that you see online, it's because we had a completely different name for Sigourney Weaver's character that was leaked out that was completely wrong. So don't believe everything you see online. Yeah. Okay. Her character's name is Colonel Ward, whom Empire describes as no nonsense and hired Din Djarin for a very tough job, suggesting that he might be one of few people who can pull it off. As many have guessed, this is likely what leads us to this snowy planet where we meet the Imperial warlords. So here's what Sigourney Weaver had to say. It's a very big decision for her to rely on the Mandalorian. Why would she have to rely on a bounty hunter when the New Republic has a lot of resources? It's a very hard commission. The first one, very tricky. That's why I wanted him. So a very tricky mission, very hard commission. What is that? This is the opening scene. This is the opening mission for Din and Grogu, and why Sigourney Weaver needs him specifically and nobody else. They suggest in this article that this might be the snowy planet that they're going to, and maybe it is, but I think this is a mission with Zeb Orrelios, and what that mission may be, again, I don't know. A lot of this seems to be jumbled around. What comes first? The Embo scene on Navarro where he's going to destroy the N1 starfighter in the rain, or the Stinky the Hutt gladiator fight, or the blowing up the AT-AT walkers on the icy planet, or the scene where he goes to Sigourney Weaver and says, I will take all of your criminals and warlords out for you. Like, what comes first in this movie? What is the opening scene? It could be any of those. I personally want it to be Embo going in and destroying Navarro, which would be awesome, but that doesn't really line up with this. That Sigourney needs him, specifically him, for a very important and tricky mission. It just doesn't line up. So we got all these great scenes, the snowy, icy planet, the gladiator ring, Embo, the huts on Nal Hutta, but none of it really lines up. We don't know the order in which things are happening in this movie. Because I bet you Zeb is going to be a big part of this movie, and he's barely in the trailer. He just says, I like this kid, and that's about it. That's about it. Maybe the Imperial dude is Gru from Despicable Me. Gru and Grogu.
Incorrect.
No. Oh, we haven't even started up a poll yet. Hang on, chat. I didn't realize we haven't even started the poll yet. If you haven't smashed a freaking like on the stream, get on it. But let's start a poll. Let's start a poll. What should this poll be? Do you think, because we're going to get to this in a second, Bo Katan, and I want to leave it up for a while, Bo Katan will be in The Mandalorian. Oh, Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Yes or no? Do you think Bo Katan will be in The Mandalorian and Grogu? Yes or no? And if you're going to say no on this poll, just I will change your mind today. I can almost guarantee it. But continuing. So that's what Sigourney Weaver had to say. A very tricky commission, a very hard mission for Din Djarin, and she has to rely on him and not the resources of the New Republic. It would appear that Pedro Pascal was on set for the majority of filming, again, contrary to what the leaks and scoopers would lead you to believe, because they suggested that he wasn't even on the set at all. Funny how that works. He was on set for the majority of the filming. as opposed to season 3 of The Mandalorian. According to Favreau's quote in the picture below, they were able to push Pedro a little harder physically this time, which is cool. Another new image right here, which you can see in the thumbnail of today too, as well. This is on that same gladiator planet looking thing, and there's some fight scene happening there. Of course, and it says here, Pedro is a pretty physical performer. We pushed him a little further than we have in the past. Of course, Jeremy Allen White has spoken about his role as Rada the Hutt to Empire already. He concurred with Jon Favreau's sentiments that he is trying to step out of his father's shadow. They compared it to, or last week we were talking about the comparison to Creed in the Rocky movies and in the Creed movies, and having to get out of the shadow of his father. Rada the Hutt is trying to become his own man and get out of the shadow of the Hutt name. So this is why I think that Stinky will be a hero in this movie and actually help out Din and Grogu, because Jabba is a villain. That's clear. I mean, he's a villain in Return of the Jedi, and he's a villain all the way back to The Phantom Menace. The twin Hutts are villains. You see them in the trailer ripping off Din Djarin's helmet and threatening his life and Grogu's life. Stinky is trying to be his own man, as it says here. He's trying to get out of the shadow of the Hutt name, meaning he's not a bad guy. Or at least he's not as bad as the other Hutts. We'll put it that way. And I think whatever Din is trying to accomplish, whatever he's trying to do, maybe Stinky could be a help to him. Again, I don't know how and I don't know why, but I certainly think that Stinky's going to have a big role in this movie, because Jeremy Allen White has been very vocal about how important his character is and how he's going to be slithering around with Din and Grogu. Or at least Din Djarin. Empire reports that apparently Jon Favreau's idea to age up the Hutt, formerly known as Stinky, from the Clone Wars animated series, as he is a self-proclaimed Hutt fanatic. Jon Favreau, that is. Dave Filoni finds great humor in the fact that Jabba's baby boy is in the film at all, because, Jon helped create this character with George Lucas in the Clone Wars movie. As Dave Filoni had this to say, "I never imagined working at Lucasfilm that 20 years later I'd be working on a live-action film that has Rada in it." It's kind of ironic, because Dave Filoni's first Star Wars movie was the Clone Wars movie, and it has Stinky the Hutt first appearance, and now Stinky's going to make his first ever live-action appearance in Dave Filoni's second Star Wars movie and first ever live-action Star Wars movie. It's like poetry. But at one point in the interview, he turns to Jon Favreau and says, "Did you ever think, watching Empire Strikes Back, that you would see Boba Fett and Yoda team up?" Where Boba Fett is like Yoda's dad, because the comparison between Din Djarin and Boba Fett and Grogu and Yoda.
I got a bad feeling about this.
It's not obviously the same characters, but it is. Din Djarin was heavily based on Boba Fett, and same with Grogu and Yoda. Favreau responds with a laugh and says, "No, but here it is." And it turns out that it was a wonderful delight, because, it's pretty successful. By Boba Fett, Filoni is almost certainly referring to the fact that his armor is similar to Din's, not confirming that Boba Fett and Yoda are teaming up. Duh. But the article also reveals that The Mandalorian and Grogu is not using the volume like the series did. This time, it's all practical sets. Phil Tippett's stop motion and puppets, and it was all filmed with the IMAX in mind. So it was all filmed on those IMAX cameras. Hopefully, that will reassure anybody worried about this film how it will look. Just a bonus episode of just look like a bonus episode of The Mandalorian being portrayed on a big screen. So they took it to the next level, using the IMAX cameras and all that stuff, but also going away from the volume and using more practical effects and going back to square one, which is Phil Tippett's and his stop motion and his puppeteer work as well, which they did in Skeleton Crew too. So this isn't something that's completely brand new or back, I suppose. because they did do it in Skeleton Crew last year. But this is still just snippets of what's to come from this Empire article, because I'm sure as the day goes on here today and probably into tomorrow as well, more and more of this article will be revealed. We got some stuff from Dave Filoni, Sigourney Weaver, Jon Favreau, Pedro Pascal, even Ludwig, even the composer of the movie. So more of that will be coming out as the day goes on here. And actually, I'm sure as the stream goes on here, if I refresh my page, there'll be even more. But just keep an eye out for that. So, yeah. Interestingly enough, I just refreshed my page and saw this. According to the Empire magazine, more lore-centric elements of the New Republic won't be in The Mandalorian and Grogu, but will be reserved for Ahsoka Season 2. Now, we know these two projects are going to be heavily connected to each other. Zeb Orrelios being in both projects, we know that for a fact. But the possibility of a mention or an appearance of a character like Grand Admiral Thrawn, who could also be involved in the events or will also be involved in the events of Ahsoka Season 2, and the Imperial Warlords, possibly seeing this new villain that we just got introduced to today also be in Ahsoka Season 2, is a high likelihood as well. But it does seem more like, I guess, lore-wise, a lot of the stuff when it comes to the Force and all that will be more so explored in Ahsoka Season 2. And we're getting an all-out war in our Star Wars in Ahsoka Season 2, so I think The Mandalorian, in a way, is going to be a stepping stone to get to that. It will be a great story in and of itself, but it will also set up the heir to the Empire. And hopefully set up a whole freaking trilogy if we're lucky. If we're lucky. Yeah. So, again, as I refresh my page over and over again, you're getting more and more information from The Mandalorian and Grogu, and even more pictures like this. Sigourney Weaver and Din Djarin on the set, behind the scenes on the Adelphi base, more stuff like that. So, plenty of images and other cool stuff. Did we look at all the images? Hang on, let me see. We looked at that one. We looked at that one. Of course, Grogu in the cage. Yeah, all right. So we're good there. All right. Let's talk about the gigantic elephant in the room and the title of this live stream and the poll in the chat. Bo Katan. Now, 33% of you in the chat right now say no, you don't think Bo Katan will be in this movie. Get ready for your mind to be changed. Okay? Because not only have we had the interview where Katee Sackhoff, who plays Bo Katan in live action and in animation, where she says, I haven't been in the Mandalorian armor in 2025, but Mando ended in 2024. And then she's asked about that, and she gives a smile and doesn't say anything and whatever. Not only is there that, but now we have more. But wait, there's more. Katee Sackhoff, at the Saturn Awards, I believe this last weekend, had this to say about her character of Bo Katan. Hang on, chat. I'm scrolling. Okay. Katee Sackhoff on whether or not Bo Katan will appear in The Mandalorian and Grogu. I cannot confirm nor deny if you're going to see her in the movie. But I can promise you, you haven't seen the last of her. Now, that's obviously a no-brainer. We knew that we'd be seeing more Bo Katan. The Mandalorians just reclaimed their home world. If we're getting this whole heir to the Empire and getting it well, you're going to have an army of Mandos alongside of Din Djarin, Grogu, Boba Fett, Fennec Shand, Chrysanthemum, the Vespa gang, the Ghost crew. That's going to be the good guys versus the Empire, versus Thrawn and Night Sisters and Stormtroopers. So the Mandalorians will be a part of that. Obviously, we have not seen the last of Bo-Katan. That's clear. However, I go back to the first half of this comment. I cannot confirm nor deny if you're going to see her in this movie, if she said Bo Katan is not in this movie, first of all, I think she's lying, but it would be a better response than this. She had 3 options. 1, to say, yes, I am in the movie, which would, give it away. 2, to say exactly this, which is, I can neither confirm nor deny. And 3, say no and hope that fans believe you. Hope that fans go, okay, she's not in the movie. She said it. She's not lying. She's telling the truth. She's not in the movie. She chose the second option, which is probably the worst one. Because here's the deal. I can neither confirm nor deny is confirming. It's confirming. Because if she's not in the movie, she would say no. Still, I probably wouldn't have believed her, but she would have said no. There is absolutely no reason for her to put out a fishing rod and dangle the greatness of possibly seeing Bo Katan with Din Djarin on a little string in front of us. There's no reason for that. There's no reason to say I can neither confirm nor deny that I'm in the movie. If she's not in the movie, tell us that. No, she didn't. She didn't tell us that. She told us, oh, she's going to be in the movie. Without saying it, of course. So, and I'll bring it up again because it's just one of my favorite interviews ever, is her sort of, denying the fact that she's in the movie, caught in 4K almost, which is even better. So let's take a look at that too. Let's go back in time here for a second. Oh, wait. I thought I had to pull. Where'd it go? Hang on. I'm going to have to scroll up for a while. All right. But with that being said, as I scroll up here to find the Katee Sackhoff and her lying about not being in the movie, do you think that Bo Katan will be in the Mandalorian and Grogu? Yes or no? She does this to drive Mike crazy. She does this because she's in the movie. She does this because, found it. Here we go.
You had mentioned earlier this year that you've not worn the armor in 2025. I did notice that the Mandalorian and Grogu wrapped production in December of 2024.
Did they?
Sure did.
Wow.
Did they? Wow. So when you when you put this on, and the fact that she's saying, I can neither confirm nor deny that Bo Katan will be in the movie, I am about 99.9, screw that. I'm 100% certain that Bo Katan will be in this film. Now, here's the thing. As Darth Plagueis brought up in his very generous super chat earlier on in this live stream, why hide that? What's the need of hiding Bo Katan from the marketing? This is The Mandalorian and Grogu. The Mandalorian and Grogu. A continuation of the 3-season series that was on Disney+. You know what happened in that 3rd season? Bo Katan was a main freaking character. So if this is a continuation of that story, you don't think she'd be involved in this movie? She'll be at Mando's funeral? Oh, no. Her only appearance is at Din Djarin's funeral? Well, let's put it this way, too. If Din Djarin gets in any sort of hot water, if he gets in any trouble with the Empire, if he's at any point in this film in need of support, in need of backup, he's going to call this girl right here. They're practically dating at this point, okay? He's going to call her. Because the last time that we saw Din Djarin, he was fighting alongside of her and Grogu to take down Moff Gideon and reclaim their home world. Now, I know Din Djarin's also good friends with Boba Fett, and he could be calling in Boba Fett as well if he needs help. And I don't think it will be until the end of the movie where he needs help. So the reasoning for them not confirming nor denying that Bo Katan's in the movie is because her appearance is probably going to be used as a surprise, a hero coming to save the day type deal, where Din is about to die. Din is really like, oh my God, Mike was right. You're all going to be sitting in the theaters going, Mike was right. Din Djarin's about to die. And then Bo Katan comes in with an army of Mandalorians and saves the day and saves his life. Because if Din Djarin's not going to die, this is how it goes. He's on a near-death experience, and she comes in and saves the day. The fact is, if we are led to believe that Katee Sackhoff is indeed lying here, or I guess not lying, but avoiding the truth, if Bo Katan is in the movie, we just today learned about a brand new villain that's keeping Grogu in a cage, and we are 2 months away, just over 2 months away from this movie. And we are just finding out about one of the main villains and the fact that one of the main characters from season 3 could be in the movie. There are so many secrets that still remain for this film. IG-11. You bring up a great point. IG-11 comes in to save the day. Where is IG-11? Is Navarro going to be completely destroyed? Where is Greef Karga? I know Carl Weathers sadly passed away, but they have to explain where his character went. Din Djarin is on Navarro. Navarro is in the trailer for the movie. Right here. This is Navarro. So the amount of information that we don't know about this film is far more than the information that we do know. Because Embo might only be in one scene. As much as people want to see this character back in live action, I'm sure he'll get a really cool action sequence. Din Djarin versus Embo in this awesome fight sequence here, where the N1 starfighter is going to blow up and Navarro might blow up as well. And Greef Karga could, be dead at this point. And IG-11, who knows what's up with him? It might all be destroyed. It might all be gone. But there are so many unanswered questions going into a movie that comes out in 2 months. And just as I foretold, just as the prophecies foretold, when we get stuff like the Empire magazine article, when we get new TV spots and new merchandise leaks, which we'll get to in a second because we got some Lego leaks as well, the information, the plot of this movie becomes more clear, piece by piece. Very small pieces, but piece by piece. The bald-headed guy is not new. He was in The Mandalorian season 3. Yeah, true. Did we not already talk about that? He's not new in the way that we've never met him before. He's new in the way that we had no idea who's going to even be a villain in this movie and have Grogu in a bird cage. But all that to say, the most likely to save the day is the most likely character that was in the last season fighting alongside Din Djarin, and they're practically dating, and that is Bo Katan. And the actress herself says, I can neither confirm nor deny, which pretty much confirms Bo Katan is going to be in the movie. And I go back to the interview of her doing that. Here's the thing. She could have just said in this interview, she could have said in this interview, I'm not in the movie. I'm just not. Could she have been lying there too? Maybe, but her saying no is a no. And that's it. Tamara Morrison at least just says no. He says, I'm put on a shelf. I'm not in the movie. I'm not in anything. He just says no. So he's easier to believe because he's saying no. Katee Sackhoff doesn't say no. She just says, I can neither confirm nor deny. And then she gives us this weirdly cryptic response here too.
Worn the armor in 2025. I did notice that The Mandalorian and Grogu wrapped production in December of 2024.
Did they?
Sure did.
Wow.
That's all we're gonna.
So here's the thing. Do I think Bo Katan will be a main character of this movie? No. Do I think she'll be right alongside Din Djarin and Grogu the entire way? No. I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that the season 3 of the show got a lot of backlash because Bo Katan was pushed into the limelight. People didn't like that. People thought that she was taking over the show. And I think in order to, respond to that, you're going to see Bo Katan in this movie in a very small role. Like I said, she might not only come until the very end of the movie where she comes in and saves the day, or maybe she doesn't even save the day. Maybe she comes in at the very end of the movie to warn Din Djarin of some impending threat, maybe Thrawn. Or maybe she calls Din Djarin and says, "We're all dead. Thrawn has taken over Mandalore. All the Mandalorians are gone. It's just me and a couple others fighting for our lives." Either way, I don't think she'll have a big role in this movie, but I am 100% on board with the fact that she will be in this film. Whether it be for a 10-second cameo or for half the movie, I don't know, but she's in it. Everything Katee Sackhoff has said has indicated that she will be, and here's the deal. If she wasn't, she would have said so. Why not say no? I can neither confirm nor deny. Why not just deny? Deny, deny, deny. Why not deny? But she can't do that because she can neither confirm nor deny it. So there you have it. That's the Bo Katan of it all. 70% of you guys right now in the chat say yes, you do think she'll be in the movie. 30% still say no. We shall see. I don't think she'll be a main character, but I definitely think she's in the film. Could even be a post-credit scene for all I care. She'll be in the movie. Okay. Continuing. We did have some... Well, let's get to this first, actually. Let's get to the other leaks first for The Mandalorian and Grogu. Wait, what the heck? Oh, here we go. So, this actually is an announcement. Last stream on Tuesday, we talked about how there's a third writer attached to this movie, Noah Clore, who is a head writer on The Mandalorian, a co-writer on all the episodes of the Book of Boba Fett, and was a writer on one episode of The Mandalorian Season 3. And that sort of gave a little bit more credence to the people who think that Boba Fett will be in the movie, because one of the head writers of the Book of Boba Fett is also one of 3 writers, Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, and Noah Clore, on The Mandalorian and Grogu. Mike, you forgot to kill off Bo Katan. If Bo's in this movie, she's not going to die. She might die later on in a possible trilogy, but there's no way she would die in The Mandalorian and Grogu. Yeah. Okay, but the new news is that Bryce Dallas Howard has been confirmed to be a producer on the Mandalorian and Grogu film. Now, this isn't that shocking because Bryce was involved in all 3 seasons of The Mandalorian, and she's been involved in other Mando projects like Skeleton Crew. She's directing 2 episodes of Ahsoka Tano, or Ahsoka Season 2. But this was, I guess, not announced, unbeknownst to us. And alas, I forgot to use alas more today. And alas, we find out that Bryce Dallas Howard is a producer on The Mandalorian and Grogu. A busy girl. I mean, Bryce is one of our favorites, or one of my favorites. I know a lot of you guys love her as well because of the episodes that she does in The Mandalorian. A ton of them are all some of the best that we've gotten, and we want her to direct more. But the fact that she's a producer on this movie and directing 2 episodes of Ahsoka is great news. Or as the great Omni-Man would say, this is good news, Mark. But that is more Mando news as well. And let's get to these Lego leaks. I'm interested to see what you guys sort of interpret this as. New summer Lego sets for The Mandalorian and Grogu have been leaked. 2 sets. I'm going to start with the bottom one first. Hutt and Droid base. I think this is the Nal Hutta base, where you see those droids that Din Djarin is in a fight with in the trailer. And it comes with the Stinky the Hutt action figure, which to me indicates that Stinky will be there. And the base I'm talking about here is this. So see those droids running on the ground. And this is Nal Hutta. Or what we think is Nal Hutta, I suppose. It's not confirmed yet. But Nal Hutta, and later in the trailer, same location as this, by the way, with the twin huts. Same location. And later in the trailer, this is the... Oh, nope. What? Ah, yes, this. This is the giant battle that's happening here. This is inside. Din Djarin taking down some of the droids in a cool action sequence. Now, what I think is either edited out from behind Din Djarin or maybe in front of him that we just don't see on screen here, this is going to be where Stinky is involved because he's also involved in the set for this scene. So the hut and droid base, this base right here that we're looking at, Stinky's probably going to be there because his minifigure comes with the Lego set. So it would make sense that he was there. And again, this gives more evidence to suggest that he will be involved with this story a lot more, slithering alongside of Din Djarin, slugging along Din Djarin and using his, I want to see him in action. I want to see a hut in action, a ripped hut in action. So that'll be this, and I think you might actually get like Stinky the Hut in this scene, which would be really cool. So there's that, and then the other one is called an Imperial Remnant Attack. Now, you could take this one of two ways. The Imperial Remnant attacking somebody, the Imperial Remnant attack, or Din and Grogu attacking the Imperial Remnant. Imperial Remnant attack. I guess it goes both ways. It can go both ways completely. We got a new member. Hang on, let's get to that first. But while we get to this new member, how do you take this? Is this the snowy planet? Is this Din and Grogu attacking the remnant of the Empire? Or is it the remnant of the Empire attacking our heroes? Is this an Imperial remnant attack on Navarro? Or on the snowy planet, or something completely different that we just don't even know about yet entirely because it's not in any of the marketing for the movie. What do you think that means? And let's get to this new member. Oh, Melissa. At the night level. Melissa, welcome to the people who love Star Wars. Welcome to the people who love Star Wars, Melissa at the night level. That's extremely generous. I appreciate that. Super chats and memberships keep the lights on over here. So what do we think this is? Imperial Remnant Attack. Is it the Imperial Remnant attacking? Or are they being attacked? It's Din attacking them. Well, I guess my follow-up question to that would be, is this entire Lego set a bunch of AT walkers being blown up by Din Djarin? Because that would be awesome. Or it also could be the Imperial Remnant attacking Navarro or something of that sort as well. You and me both, Samuel. You and me both. Do we know what's in that set? No, that's the problem. All we have is this. All we have is the names of these two sets, and that's it. That's all we got. So I guess the biggest part of the evidence to suggest that Rada is involved more so in the story is that his minifigure comes along with the hut and droid base. So it makes sense that he would actually be there when Grogu and Din, or at least Din Djarin, attacks said base. Like Stinky's involved in this giant fight, which would be cool. Him sort of rebelling against his own people, his own huts, because that's what Jeremy Allen White said in the interview, where he said that he said nope, he didn't say that either. Oh, he said Rada is trying to become his own man and trying to get out of the shadow of the hut name. So maybe him attacking the huts themselves in the droid base, the hut and droid base, alongside Din Djarin would be him being his own man, rebelling against his people. Sigourney's comment or line in the trailer is that this isn't about revenge is quite intriguing. Yes, what does Din Djarin want revenge for? What is she talking about there? Now, maybe she's referring to just... Maybe she's referring to the fact that the New Republic would want revenge on the Empire for all the horrible things they did. Or maybe they want revenge for Din Djarin. Maybe this is the revenge they're talking about. The Empire went to Din Djarin's face, stole his child, and put him in a bird cage, while they also made him fight in a gladiator ring. So it's possible that the opening of this movie is Din Djarin on this mission for the New Republic. And he's supposed to find out some information about some huts, whatever it may be, but he comes across the wrong hut. Stinky the Hut. Or maybe he's looking for Stinky, I don't know. But either way, it doesn't go as planned because the Empire is there, this Imperial warlord is there, and he captures Grogu. And makes Din Djarin, forces Din Djarin to fight Stinky in the gladiator ring. So the revenge that Sigourney Weaver might be talking about in the trailer could be the revenge on the Empire for this. So it's possible that this character right here, our bald-looking friend, he may be at the very beginning of the movie and then the very end. Because as Din Djarin is searching for him, searching for revenge, and trying to find this Imperial remnant guy who took his child, now, or maybe didn't fully take his child, but tried to take his child, while he's looking for him, he comes across other Imperial warlords. He comes across the snowy, icy planet and maybe uncovers something he wasn't supposed to see. Like Ilum, Starkiller Base. Like maybe he comes across something that he really wasn't supposed to see, and then things really hit the fan really quickly. It would be like Andor Season 1. Andor is just looking for his sister. That's all he's doing. And while doing so, he gets into trouble because he kills 2 Imperial officers, 2 Morlana 1 cops. And then shit hits the fan, and everything spirals out of control because the Empire tries to come capture him, and then Dedra figures it out that everything's connected, and then Luthen comes a problem, and it all just spirals and snowballs from there. Just because Cassian was looking for his sister. So it could be the same thing with this Mandalorian and Grogu movie. He's just looking for a hut. He's just on an average mission for the New Republic, and everything goes crazy when this guy shows up. When this guy wants to take control and wants to take Grogu, and everything hits the fan, and it starts to snowball and become a disaster. That could be what's going on here. I never thought I'd see Grogu in a birdcage. Me either. Is that why they're separated? I don't know. I don't think Grogu and Din will be separated for the entire movie. That would sound insane. Plus, there are so many scenes in the trailer where they are together. So I don't know. Revenge equals Grief Karga and Navarro. That's also another possibility. So there's plenty of different versions or reasons, I should say, for revenge that Sigourney Weaver's talking about in that scene. Maybe Grief Karga's dead. Maybe Grief Karga's killed by the Hutts or the Empire. And Din Djarin wants revenge for that. It's possible. It is very possible. There's plenty of different versions of revenge that she could be talking about here. But I would really like the idea that this is how it goes down. It's a normal, average day mission for Din and Grogu for the New Republic, and they come across Stinky, and then they run into this guy, and everything goes wrong. Everything goes horribly wrong. Where Din Djarin ends up fighting as a gladiator, Grogu gets captured by the Empire, and everything just goes wrong. And then he wants revenge on this guy because he did him wrong. That'd be great. And then he tries to find more Imperial officers, tries to find more Imperial warlords, finds himself on Ilum, and just opens a whole can of worms that he didn't know about. And this could be, honestly, they could use the Mandalorian and Grogu if they do this correctly. They could use the Mandalorian and Grogu as a way to show fans everything. Mandalorian and Grogu could be the way that they introduce to normie fans Thrawn, the Night Sisters, all the Imperial remnant in the Shadow Council, all of it. Because it could be the way that Din Djarin finds out about it. Because right now, the audience knows about the Shadow Council. We saw it in The Mandalorian Season 3. But to Din and Grogu, they have no idea. They beat Moff Gideon, and they were like, we did it. We did it. But there is so much more to it. And as Din Djarin figures it out, as Din Djarin gains that knowledge, so will the audience. So if he finds out that there's a Shadow Council, that there is way more going on here than just a couple of Imperials. Moff Gideon's dead, but the threat is still there. And he figures it out slowly but surely, and don't call me Shirley. And it's by accident. It's because this guy wanted to get too cute. This guy wanted to capture Grogu and make Din Djarin his little puppet in a gladiator ring, and then he wanted revenge and finds his way to Ilum and finds out about Project Necromancer and finds out too much information and then finds out about Thrawn. This could be the way. This is the way. This could be the way that they explain to normie fans in the audience who Thrawn is and what this Heir to the Empire story is going to look like, all just because of the Mandalorian and his want for revenge. I said, don't call me Shirley!
I got a bad feeling about this.
I mean, that sounds pretty great to me. Sounds pretty cool to me. Sounds just like the plot of Andor, but it sounds pretty cool to me. Cassian never becomes a rebel if he doesn't look for his sister on Morlana 1 that night. I mean, maybe he does, but that's what kickstarts his journey. He murders those two officers, and that is the kickstart to what eventually turns him into one of the most badass and incredible rebels ever. This right here might be that same kickstarting event that turns Din Djarin and Grogu into the key pieces, and I guess key pieces in explaining it to the audience as well, of what's going to happen in Ahsoka Season 2. What's going to happen with the Heir to the Empire. What's going to happen in Dave Filoni's movie. This might just be the kickoff point for all of it. It'll give you the Hutts. It'll give you the Empire. It'll give you the Embos, the bounty hunters, the badass stuff, while also connecting to everything. Mentions of Thrawn. You might not see Thrawn, but mentions of Thrawn. Mentions of Project Necromancer. Possibly even seeing Ilum. If this icy planet is Ilum, all the stops are off. Everything is up in the air. Because if this is Ilum, they're doing it. And by doing it, I mean they are not pulling any punches, and they are diving into the sequel trilogy. They're diving into the creation of Snoke, the Heir to the Empire, all of it. And that would be awesome. I don't know if it's going to be Ilum, but if it is, we're in for quite the ride as Star Wars fans here. Quite the ride. Yeah. Since Thrawn is being dragged into the fight with Abeloth, maybe, Dave Filoni seems to be putting a bunch of legend storylines and blending them together. Yes, I mean, the Abeloth stuff and the Thrawn stuff never cross paths. However, I don't think they'll cross paths in canon either. If Abeloth is the villain in Ahsoka Season 2, she's not going to be let free because she will never be stopped. Ever. So, yeah. I think Thrawn has the knowledge of that character, or at least of a very big threat from Peridia, and that's why he's running at the end of Season 1 of Ahsoka. But I don't think the two will ever cross paths. Yeah, they're in two different galaxies. Yeah. Had Ahsoka not have a bird that looks like, or did Ahsoka not have a bird that looks like the one on top of the cage? No, Morai looks a lot different than that. Yeah. When was the Force with Andor? What? I don't understand the question. Andor is so good, I miss it every day. You and me both. You and me both. Can I get some good cups follow orders in the chat, please? Bum, bum. Do you think we'll get Ahsoka this year? 100%. It will be in 2026. It's just a matter of when in 2026. My best guess would be September. September, maybe mid to late September, possibly. But definitely in 2026. If it has to be pushed back to October or November, I'm fine with that, but it'll come out in 2026. Yeah. Definitely. When did the Force start controlling Cassian's destiny? Well, that is, I guess, a very long discussion of what is the Force, how does the Force work? Because the Force, I mean, some believe that everything in Star Wars is already, every outcome is already decided by the Force before it happens. If you've seen the Freddie Prinze Jr., who voices who voices Kanan Jarrus, talk about this. He says, like, the Force is always about balance. So if you know that going in, then you pretty much know who's going to win every single fight in Star Wars, because the Force always needs to balance itself out. And in a way, the Force controls everything that happens in the galaxy. Every good thing, every bad thing, it's in control of all of it. But I guess that's how you view it depends on how you view the Force. I don't think the Force controls Cassian specifically, but there was a destiny for Cassian that was set up by the Force from the get-go. Because there's this Death Star, there's the Empire, and there's the Force trying to combat that. How do we stop this guy from actually killing everybody? And Cassian was just a piece of that puzzle, but a big piece, because he's the one who gets the Death Star plans along with Jyn Erso up to the rebellion, and that eventually leads to the destruction of the first Death Star. Yeah. Indeed. September 5th. Just kidding, that's my birthday. Oh, I thought you were saying today's your birthday. I was like, no way. Today is my mom's birthday. Yeah. But I already mentioned that. So, the Force works in mysterious ways. We'll put it that way. The Force works in a way where you end up with Grogu in a bird cage. Yeah, that's how the Force works. That's not how the Force works. I don't know how we got so sidetracked, but we were talking about these leaks. So the Lego leaks, there's going to be a ton of marketing and merchandise for this movie, and these leaks like this are going to keep on coming for the next 2 months. But Imperial remnant attack is probably what could be Ilum, I'm hoping, in the Hutt droid base does indicate that Rada might be there, which means his role may be a lot bigger than we think in this movie. We did have some other news in terms of just not Mandalorian and Grogu, which is shocking. Oh, yeah. So we have more from the Empire magazine. Hang on. We got more. This one's pretty funny. Pedro Pascal on the name of the Mandalorian and Grogu. So this has been debated for years now. I mean, a while. A mom that loves Star Wars. She does like Star Wars. Actually, not that many years ago, me and her watched through all the movies together. That was fun. But yeah, she's not as big a Star Wars fan as I am. She doesn't host a podcast every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday for the rest of your lives about Star Wars. So, yeah. But not all of us can be insane. But Pedro Pascal, so first and foremost, tell me in the chat, do you like the name The Mandalorian and Grogu? Are you a fan of the name The Mandalorian and Grogu? And if not, what should this movie be called? Because at first, I did not like the name. I was like, The Mandalorian and Grogu. Are we serious right now? What are we even talking about? However, it kind of grew on me. the amount of times I have said the Mandalorian and Grogu in a sentence is probably a billion at this point, so I'm used to it by now. But is there any other possibility of what this should or could be named that would work better? Because I've seen it online. People are still not a fan of this name. But tell me in the chat, are you a fan of the Mandalorian and Grogu name as a title for this film? I didn't like it too much, but I got used to it. That seems to be the way that it went. Yeah. It's what it, I guess what else would it be? That's the other question. What else could it be named? Because this gets directly to the point. Directly to the point. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't see Grogu's Birdcage Adventures. That's incredible.
This is where the fun begins.
Grogu's Birdcage Adventures might be the new name. It should be. That's a great name. Okay, but here's what Pedro Pascal had to say about the name. It was a demand that Grogu made, and nobody could say no. No one could say no. It was the only way to get him to say yes to the movie. He's like, listen, let's be real, The Mandalorian and Grogu. So the title of the movie was a demand by the puppet. That's what we're saying here, which is pretty funny. Okay, but in more serious tone, I suppose, Dave Filoni on the character of Colonel Ward, because we know that she was once a rebel, and this is what Dave has to say. Ward exists in a lineage of women who dismantled the Empire on the front lines, who, quote, really went through it, like Mon Mothma, as we see in Andor, Harrison Dula in Rebels, a million Haldo, the Haldo maneuver, of course, and Leia Organa. We go way back, Leia and Colonel Ward. Whoa, interesting. Two of them cross paths. To be playing somebody who is from that same, from that time and from that history is a great honor. So Sigourney Weaver is friends with Leia Organa. And that is a plot point important enough for her to know about her character. That's interesting. That's interesting. Could we be getting some Leia Organa in this movie? Now, I don't think Leia will be in this film, but a mention of her seems highly likely at this point. If Sigourney Weaver knows that her and Leia go way back, there must be something important about the two characters' relationship with each other and the backstory there of the history of this character of Colonel Ward, which is pretty cool. I like that a lot. I like that quite a bit. Interesting. I feel like Sigourney Weaver is going to be the character that they wanted Admiral Haldo to be. Because Admiral Haldo, the Haldo maneuver, it was not very loved by fans. The character herself, people thought that it should have been more of an important character that made the sacrifice, somebody that we knew already. And I think Sigourney Weaver is going to be another attempt at that, an attempt at a character that's new but seems to be lived in, and I think it will be a more successful version of that. Like, I think her character will be more beloved than the Haldo character was. Now, granted, a lot of that comes from the fact that The Last Jedi as a movie was disliked a lot more than the characters of Din Djarin and Grogu. So, I guess they got a lot more riding on it. But I think that this character will be more liked than Haldo. But tell me what you think in the chat.
This is where the fun begins.
Okay. That was one other thing. This. Pedro Pascal was surprised when Lucasfilm officially announced The Mandalorian and Grogu, as he said this. There were whispers about a movie. I didn't hang on to or listen too closely to those whispers because I wanted it to happen so badly. I suppose I mistook the information as whispers rather than being told that it was going to happen. I can only interpret that as me managing my expectations. So he was surprised by the fact that this was announced as a movie because he had heard whispers that there could be a movie, but he didn't want to get his hopes up, which is great. Yeah. So, again, more and more of this Empire magazine will be released. And actually, let me refresh the page because there's probably more now. Oh. Okay, this is just a tease. We got a 4-second Mando and Grogu TV spot. That's it. Okay. Never mind. That's it. That's it. All right. Yeah, I guess that's all we got from that. Okay, there was a little bit of other stuff I wanted to get to, too, before we get on out of here. And I do have to get on out of here a little bit earlier today, like I mentioned earlier, because it is my mom's birthday. And we're going to sell. I made this cake. Chad. I made this cake. Maybe I'll send a picture to the Discord. If you guys are not yet in the Discord, there's a link in the description below to a Discord called The People Who Love Star Wars. I made a cake today. I technically made 2 cakes. Like, you know how the cake boxes, like I made 2 boxes, but I just stacked them on top of each other. It's mega cake. It's a mega cake. It's enormous. It's gigantic. It's mega cake. It's mega cake. It's 4 layers, so it's literally like a layer this big, a layer this big, a layer this big. It's like this. It's like this tall. It's a big ass cake. Yeah. So, did I make it in steps? Well, I kind of had to split it and do 2 different. I pretty much made 2 cakes. Yeah. Okay. Continuing. Back onto the Star Wars of it all. But that's why I do have to get out a little bit earlier today. We'll have a live stream on Saturday as per usual. So don't worry about that. And I do have a short coming out later today. So don't worry about that. But the one other thing I wanted to get to here before we got out of here, I forget where. Oh, yes. Okay. So the confirmation, and somebody sent this to the Discord. I forget who it was. So I appreciate it, but I don't remember who it was. So shout out to you. Confirmation that the Maul Shadow Lord series, if you go to Disney Plus here, coming on April 6th. So we are now, hang on, let me double check. We are now 24 days. 24 days away from Maul Shadow Lord and 70 days away from Mando and Grogu. So 24 days until the premiere of this series. We haven't really talked about it much lately because of all the other things going on with the Mandalorian and Grogu and with Ahsoka Season 2 and all that, whatever. But comes out in 24 days, and this is on Disney Plus. Trailer for the Maul Shadow Lord series. We've all watched this trailer. It's the same trailer that we got, but it says trailer, Star Wars Maul Shadow Lord Season 1. This is confirmation that it will be a multi-season show. I already assumed it was going to, but yes, this is a multi-season show. If it was going to just be a limited series like Kenobi was, it would say limited series. But no, this is season 1 of multiple seasons. We're going to have to spend a lot of time with this Maul character to fill out all the story in between Clone Wars and Rebels, because he goes through a ton of stuff to lead him to that Malachor 5 version of Maul that we see, the old man who's lost his mind. But all that to say, confirmation that Maul Shadow Lord is a season 1. Does Book of Boba Fett say season 1? Actually, a good question. Let's check. Does Book of Boba Fett say season 1? Let's see. Let's see. We're on Disney Plus right here. Actually, we can check a bunch of them. Like, we can check if Book of Boba Fett says season 1. It does say, or 1 season. That just means how much there is on the runtime. Season 1. It does say season 1. Oh, but the trailer doesn't say Book of Boba Fett season 1. It just says Book of Boba Fett trailer. So if we're going based off of the evidence that we have for Maul Shadow Lord, it does not line up, but it does say season 1. Now let's go check, let's say, for instance, what else only has 1 season? The Acolyte, let's see. It does say season 1. Now, The Acolyte, season 1. The Acolyte was intended to get a second season. It got canceled, but it was intended to get a second season. So this is, again, promising because Maul Shadowlord is intended to get a second season. It's just, it could get canceled, I suppose. And then maybe Skeleton Crew. Let's check Skeleton Crew. Where is Skeleton Crew? Did I miss it or is it not here? It's just not here. What the heck? How about some respect on the Skeleton Crew name? Ah, there it is. Season 1. Season 1. Okay. Interesting. John Watts has confirmed that he has a season 2 planned, ready to go, but no confirmation. Interesting. That'd be nice. I mean, I want a Book of Boba Fett season 2. I want a Skeleton Crew season 2. I, of course, want an Acolyte season 2. But I definitely want a Maul Shadowlord season 2. Even though I haven't seen the first season, I know that there's going to be not nearly enough time in the 10 episodes to explore 15 years of storytelling. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. By the way, 71% of you guys do think that Bo Katan will be in The Mandalorian and Grogu. I agree. I think she will be, especially after the statements from today. Eat a piece of cake for us, Mike? Oh, I will eat the entire cake for you, Jet. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. But if you are not yet already, join that Discord. Please. Oh, check Kenobi. Let's check Kenobi. Yeah, you're right. Kenobi was marketed as a limited series, so I'd be shocked if it says season 1. Let's see. Obi-Wan. It says season 1 here, but let's see. Yeah. So you got a recap there, which is cool. Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer. So it doesn't say season 1 on it. It does say season 1 here, but yeah. Okay. All right. But with that, I do have to get on out of here. I did just hear some people walk in the door. So, but I appreciate you guys so much for all the great super chats, memberships, all that. Just being here in the chat. You have no idea how much it means to me. Smashing a like, it means the world. Hitting subscribe, all that great stuff. If you have not already, go join that Discord. Completely free. People who love Star Wars. Link in the description below. All that greatness. Mandalorian and Grogu, you're going to get more from the Empire magazine articles as it comes out. But we got stuff from everybody. The cast, the crew, the composer, everything. And Bo Katan herself, who can neither confirm nor deny that she's going to be in the movie, which confirms to me that she's in the movie. But only time will tell. We got 2 months, 70 days until this movie comes out. 24 days until Maul Shadowlord. 'Tis a great time to be a Star Wars fan. Alas, it is a great time to be a Star Wars fan. But until next time, may the Force be with you. Always. I hit the wrong button again. 3 times a week. All I have to do is hit the frickin' button. I can't even do that right, chat. I can't even do that right. At least Chopper fixed the hyperspace. But this was a great stream. As somebody pointed out in the chat, actually, the animation gets less criticism and therefore is more likely to run for multiple seasons. True. Absolutely. Because it won't get canceled after one season like The Acolyte. Research has proven that anti-Star Wars online activity is largely just bots. Don't believe the tribe. Yeah, I mean, there is a ton of people online that have respectful opinions. Like me. I mean, I don't like Visions. Not a fan. And yet I'm not going to sit here and crap on Visions 24/7 because what's the good in that? But there are a ton of people online that have valid criticisms about certain Star Wars shows, why they don't like them, why they like them, all that. People who The Last Jedi is their favorite movie of all time. People who absolutely hate Revenge of the Sith. And you can have those opinions 100%. That's the whole point of this. But have them respectfully. That's all I ask. But with that, hope you have a great rest of your evening. Great rest of your lives. And good night, everybody.